Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What up,
What's
Spiro?
up, baby? How are you?
Hmm, good, man. I'm good. I'm really good. I got coffee's kicking in here, so I'm feeling pretty good. You know,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's still early by you. It's only what, noon, 12:20.
yeah. Just a little
Yeah, yeah.
afternoon, and another
I just
beautiful Southern California
I just
day.
had my afternoon cafe.
Oh, nice, nice,
Hmm.
very
Yeah.
nice.
Ready to
Well,
rock.
I'm stoked for today's episode. We're as always, I'm always kind of stoked for this, but
Yeah,
uh,
these are always fun times for me,
we're gonna in the words of the Top Gun analogy, we're gonna buzz the tower today.
Ooh, talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
That's
I
right,
love that.
man.
Well, you're
That's
out there in
right.
San Diego, so it's a good reference.
Hey, we got to keep it real.
Yeah,
One of my
100%.
favorite movies of all time. Still, it truly is.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is Tom. It's
I mean, dude,
when people say like you're the
love him
Michael
or
Jordan
not, bro.
something.
It's
Tom
epic.
Cruise. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I will say my wife was always obsessed. More with Iceman. That was her.
Oh, she's a
That
Val
was her
Kilmer broad,
crush.
huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright,
So
alright.
got to
I get
keep
it.
up my best Tom Cruise to keep things interesting.
I love it.
Tom, if you're out there, we love you, bro. We love you.
Yeah, yeah, come on the show.
So today we're talking about minimum wage. Ah,
Yeah, I mean,
minimum
I
wage, and it's still like I don't know about you. Like it went up pretty quickly here in California a number of years ago, but a lot of other states, they're still experiencing the minimum wage increases. And what we want to talk about today is the fact that complaining about that is not a strategy.
yeah, yeah. I think this would be good because we're all dealing with this in some capacity, and I think a lot of restaurants, like, they don't know how to move, and this might be a little bit less about, hey, how to pay and afford more of like how to utilize things a little bit more better for your restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I mean, look, we're not strangers to rising costs in this industry,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many industries have their own version of that, but it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing, and it was certainly hot topic of conversation. So, yeah, let's get into it. You ready?
All right. Beautiful. Let's rock
Let's
and roll.
go.
This show is not for everyone.
If you want safe, wrong show.
If you want the same advice you've heard 1,000 times, wrong show.
If you want your beliefs left unchallenged, definitely wrong show.
I'm Greg Provence.
I'm Spiro.
Ride or die isn't just a name.
It's a standard.
Unfuck your margins
And rule your market.
Welcome to the Ride or Die Restaurant Show.
All right. So
All right.
how is minimum wage in this conversation going to help our restaurateurs or restaurant industry folk rule their market? That's what I want to know here, Greg.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. That should always be the question, right? Because that's the promise we're making here. And look, when this started happening, I mean, we were kind of like, things always slowly kind of rose over the years, but
Yeah.
this, kind of a bell curve here happened, a decade or so ago where we really started feeling the impact of this on our P&Ls. And
Yeah.
a lot of chains and so forth, what they do, started cutting people, started finding new innovations. How can we automate? Like you
Yeah.
walk into a McDonald's now and it's like kiosk heaven,
Yeah.
and you got one person back there
Yeah.
kind of doing the thing. And look, that's one response, right? That's one way to look at how can we manage this cost is just cut the cost.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
here's the thing. Not a lot of independent operators have that opportunity so much, right? That to either invest in that type of thing. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to keep that same feel that they've always had, that personal touch. Where do you do?
Well, you bring up an interesting point here, and I have this conversation a lot with a lot of restaurateurs. They they have cut they have brought in automation of some sort, AI, whatever you want to do. But here's the problem: is they've lost touch with their customer base. So you bring in too much automation, you
Mm,
lose touch with your customer base. Whatever it's automatic response to reviews and stuff like that. But you're relying on the auto response. You're not looking at the responses to understand what's going on, like what they're complaining about. Phone systems, automation, like all those little things, like you're losing touch points with the customer. Order kiosks, like obviously that's more of a quick serve thing, but obviously as we've discussed, the kiosk thing or some sort of kiosk ordering, it does drive 20% higher tickets, average ticket orders. So like
Mm,
there's positivity there. Like there's positive, it's a give and take, but
yeah.
I think you can go too far with it. That's my biggest thing with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everything in moderation, right? Anything needs a balance in order to
Yeah.
be, viable in my view,
Mhm.
and so, but look, let's talk about the full service operators that are like, you're gonna throw robots in your dining room to have them deliver food now, or are you gonna have people order on your, I mean, I've seen full service do this, right? Like they'll put QR codes on the table and, so people are now ordering for themselves, which, okay, on one hand, it could be a good innovation when done sensibly, but on
Yeah.
the other hand, it's like, okay, well, did I come to this place to have a great experience with my
Yeah.
server and the whole on that whole thing, or did I come here to order
Mhm.
for myself at my table? It's just the same as just walking into a line. Like we've got to figure out what that ultimate what's the promise we're delivering on, and then kind of
Mhm.
be smart about it, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna challenge you on this question because
Mm,
my wife went to dinner at a very, I'll say it was in between, I'll say super high end and fine dining. Like, right? It was, it was expensive, but she went with a girlfriend, and now she thinks she's a restaurateur. But that's a different conversation. Uh, but she came home and she's like, "You won't understand like how incredible the experience was," and you could tell by the way she described the experience that it was costly. It was not costly in a way where the brands lose money, but they had all the people in the right places doing the right things, and that's obviously could be costly in terms of
mm.
your labor costs. But the trade off, dynamite experience where she came home and told me about it and how great it was, and
Yeah.
recommended it and recommends the place.
So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about was she ordering it through kiosks, like, or through on the
No, no,
table?
it
Like,
was it was it
yeah.
was a full scale, server and everything like that. But
Yeah.
every touch point was carefully coordinated, right? And
Uh,
again, so they had all the right labor points. They didn't try to trim labor. And because of it, I guess what I'm trying to say is because of having the right labor, the experience was top notch. Like where
dude.
and so where the question I'm asking, I think I'm bringing to you, but I wanted to use it as a backstory was we know margins are tight, but if you give a great experience, I believe my personal belief is it's going to increase your volume. You give a great experience consistently, right?
Mm.
It's going to increase the volume and your margins may be a little bit lower, but again, as you grow, so do your margins shrink then too. But where's that trade-off where, hey, I'm going to take a hit on my margins and give great service or great experience and do maybe 10% instead of giving an okay experience and doing 15% profit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And this is where it comes back to the mindset piece, right? That, that's so important to remember here, because oftentimes when we think, okay, cost rise, let's cut. That's our
Mhm.
instinct. That's
Yeah.
our general like go to is like, oh, costs are going up. What can we cut?
Yeah.
And the problem with that thinking sometimes is that we end up cutting so deeply that we end up cutting our nose off to spite our face, right? And so to your point, yeah, I mean the instinct would be, oh, let's have less servers, let's give them bigger sections, let's
Yeah.
do all these things, but then at the same time, we're cutting into the service. There's a guy I follow on LinkedIn, Jim Taylor. I love this guy. He talks about this
Mhm.
all the time. I'd love to get him on the show, actually. It talks about this, like, hey, what are we really managing here, and so if we train our teams to give better experiences, then A, they're probably going to sell more,
Mhm.
and B, they're going to give more great experiences that, like, your wife hasn't stopped talking about it. Guess what? She's probably told 10 of her friends. They're definitely going back to that place.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Definitely. Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, I mean, you don't see that immediately. Like, you don't see it in today's report necessarily,
Mhm.
but you're going to see it over time. It's going to build over time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just and I know we're talking about minimum wage here, but it's a kind of I feel like this has opened up a can of worms into so much more. What's the guy from Bar Rescue? John Tepper? What's is that name?
Oh, right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah,
Where he did this whole thing about how you're marketing to 3 visits, the
yeah,
customer. So,
yeah,
like, you need to give and this it ties into experience is you need to give at least 3 good experiences to kind of gain a loyal customer, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And if
It's a
you're
long
not
game.
giving it's a long game that we don't invest in the right way, and it starts with investing in, having the right staff, and it obviously comes back to minimum wage or wage in general, right?
Dude,
And
you just
are they
brought up such a
producers?
good point, man. I love that point because that's such a mindset shift. I think so many of us are playing the short game,
Yeah.
right? We're
Or
playing the
1 visit.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
the short game. It's the quick, it's the reactive nature versus proactive. And
Yeah.
I think we got to take a step back and ask ourselves, what are we building to? Are we
Yeah.
making decisions from where we're going or are we making decisions from where we're at? That's a big distinction, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So, I mean, okay, so in terms of that, where we're going, where we're at, are we talking about, like, are you growing your position? Are you growing your restaurant? Like, if we're just there to maintain, right? Of course, our sales are just either gonna go like this or it's like the 1% getting 1% worse. It's gonna go like this.
Yeah.
So if you're not training your staff or investing in your staff to get 1% better, and again, it just all ties back to how much you're paying, so minimum
Yeah.
wage, right?
Yeah, dude. And I think to your point, this touches so many different aspects of the business, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's how if we're playing the long game and we're talking about people,
Yeah.
right? How much are we investing in their training and their coaching and their development,
Yeah.
right? If we're talking about the guest experience, how much are we investing in that relationship?
Mhm.
We may not see the immediate return, but every seed we're planting, we're getting a little closer to a long-term relationship. And that's what we're building to. So I think so many operators out there they're taking the shortcut. They're trying to see the next, you know, what are our
Mhm.
sales today? What happened today? And let's react to that. And that's a kiss of death.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. Is it safe to say higher minimum wage workers expect minimum wage results, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So do you think your business is getting better by hovering right around that minimum wage line? Again, I want to stress this to our listeners, like, we are talking from experience here. We understand that you know, this is a very touchy subject, but at the end of the day, if you pay the employees a little bit more, the they tend to be happier, right? More money tends to create a little bit more happiness or a little bit less stress outside the
Mhm.
restaurant. You get a more consistent staff, of working together, being cohesive. And again, you deliver a better experience, then you have to have the right, I think, management team or leadership team in place to help continue to push that, right? Like,
Yeah. 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 Dude. Well, let me ask. Okay. So I got a question for you.
mhm,
So what do we say to the independent, the mom and pop, right?
yeah.
That's just scraping nickels together right now to keep the doors open, right? Like how am I going to say, well, let's raise the I mean, are we saying, well, let's just start paying all your people more now, right? Like
Well, I mean,
what does
yeah.
that mean to them?
I mean, I think that's like, cause I'm trying to put myself in their shoes right now. Right. And that's a hard thing to swallow. Like I can barely pay myself or I'm paying myself peanuts. I'm going to pay my employees more. Like
Yeah,
I got all the
I
stress. Oh,
barely made payroll last month.
yeah.
That
You're
kind
telling
of
me to
stuff.
pay my employees more. Yeah. Well, I think that if that's where you're at, obviously there's other episodes I think that they can listen to and go back to help, whether it's drive business, drive better culture, things better. I
Yep.
don't think paying your employees more might, give you a small band-aid, but I think I think what it comes to is something you've referenced a lot. and you talk about a lot this with this. I hear you talk about a lot with our clients is production, like production rate, production value, you know. And I think that's at least me. I think you could dive into it of how important that is to understand. Should I pay this person more, or are they bringing the value back to the company?
Yeah, dude. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I've always said that I like to hire the 1.5s. And by that I mean for every person that I would normally hire, they do about 1.5 of a normal team member, right? And I
Okay.
say normal just because, it's a scale.
Yeah.
But I love the 1.5s, the people that are so productive that I'm getting like 1.5 people out of them,
Mhm.
right? In terms of
Yeah.
productivity, in terms of efficiency, in terms of outcomes, you know? And so when I find those people, and it's not that they're superhuman, they're just really good at what they do. They're focused when they're at work. Like think about what is the study that was done? I'm going to screw this up completely, but there's a Harvard study or something like that done on productivity, right?
Mhm.
And this is across multiple industries. It's not just our industries, any industry. Think about the time that's wasted by team members, employees on the clock. They're
Oh,
not being productive. Think about
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
when we start
dude,
managing,
we're in the restaurant business. Tell me how much effing around goes on back
oh,
behind that
dude,
behind the
yeah.
counter.
And I mean, I like to have fun at work. I'm fucking around at work all the time. It's
Yeah.
fun, but,
Yeah.
you know, but at the end of the day, like, and I'm going to argue this point though, in favor of all the restaurant owners out there. I think we're better at this than most industries at being productive and being in the game. I really do.
Mhm.
I think,
Yeah.
you got a lot of people sitting behind desks doing all kinds of stuff, hanging out on Facebook, getting paid on company dimes, and it's much
Oh,
easier.
1000%.
So I'm
Well,
going to give a
because here's
huge
the
shout
thing.
out for the restaurant community because I think there's not a
Yeah.
harder working group of individuals that I know, which is why I'm so proud to be a part of this, community.
Except
But
for construction workers who think they work harder than anybody, and not that they don't.
okay,
Those
okay.
guys think they work harder than anybody, and they let you know all about
We'll
it.
go
Like,
toe to toe. We'll see what happens, man. But at the end of the day, but that said, right? So I think sometimes what we're doing is we're managing the wrong touch point, right? We're just
okay.
managing the hours without really looking at the productivity of those hours. And
Mhm.
without really looking at and you can do this, like you can actually do this in your reporting, you can look at like sales per labor hour, right?
Okay.
And those
Mhm.
types of things, just see how productive the hours that the team is actually producing,
Yeah.
right? That's the deeper dive. And
Yeah.
so what we're doing is we're taking the hours that are actually there, and if we make them even 10, 15, 20% more productive, you imagine your sales per labor hour went from like, I don't know, 38 to 46 on average. That's like what I know, 10, 12% increase, something like that. That's
Mhm.
going to affect your bottom line,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Well, here,
so,
for the people that don't understand, explain what the sales per hour, like, or the productivity rate per hour. Explain kind of in detail what that is, because some might not know or understand what that means.
yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
basically
what
a
are you measuring?
measurement of like you take basically how many hours are worked in a day, let's say in the restaurant, and you can break it down by position too, if you really want to.
Mhm.
Um, and it balances the amount of sales that you did during that time frame,
Mhm.
right? So you can get you can get a metric that basically says, hey, there's this, we did this many sales against this many hours that we put into that,
Mhm.
right? And obviously, more sales per labor hour is a better number because we're doing more
Well,
with our time.
to a right point, did you kill your staff? Were
Right.
you giving
Well,
good service? Right.
that's a good point too. So you also have to measure that piece, right? Or are we that's a good point, man.
Yeah.
Are we spreading our people too thin? Is the guest experience still intact? So it's a game, it's a dance,
Yeah.
right? That we're looking at, but at the end of the day, man, it's we do have to find that balance. And again, I go back to if I hire the 1.5s,
Mhm.
if I've got a great rock star team, which should always be, I mean, I go back to my book, right? The Loyal AF, ride or die framework, which basically is like, it shows us how to build a team, right? That gross sales, wows guests, and never leaves, part of that is, having people that are fully engaged, that are fully on board, that are just in it to win it, that are ride or die. Right. And so when we get to that place, dude, that extra $3 an hour means it's like pennies at that point.
Yeah.
Because they're all 1.5s. I could take that half of that extra $10 an hour that I would have spent on 2 people that one person's doing, and I can give it to the rest of the team and still come out on top.
Hey, it's Greg Provence. If this conversation is hitting home and you want to go deeper than this podcast, the Ride or Die Leadership Circle is where operators like you are doing this work in real time. We have weekly coaching, peer accountability, tools you can use the very next shift. Links are in the show notes. Come check it out. Now back to the episode.
So what you're ultimately saying, let's just say I'm fresh out the gate. I don't do any of this, and I'm looking to understand how to get one more out of my staff, and to be, am I paying them enough for, because I'm trying to drive sales. I'm trying to drive labor and be okay with labor, but still drive sales. This is the route that I need to go, right? I need to see how productive they are. I'll also take it one step further is, can you develop these 1.5s? Because I know what everyone would say. My market, we don't have 1.5, so they're all eaten up by steakhouses and big brands who are paying. And so how do I can't get a 1.5, Greg? That's what they're yelling at you while they're listening.
Spiro, read my book front to back, and it's done deal. Done. The whole thing's there.
You heard it here first, folks. It's in the book. All you gotta do is read the pages.
I'm a little upset you haven't read the book yet, Spiro.
What's funny is I think I got lost in the mail because I don't see one. I'd love to read it, but can't read invisible books these days.
Well, as of this recording, it's not officially released, so it'll be out soon. It's gonna be out.
See, yelling at me, blaming things that are not my fault.
Oh man. No, but to answer your question, yes, it is very intentional. It should be our number one goal as business owners is to develop people to be the best people they can be. That's personally, professionally, the whole thing. And so if that's our mission, if that becomes our cause to grow the people, then we will grow the business by virtue of them becoming better at what they do.
Yeah.
More fully engaged, more all in on the mission, more understanding of how it is that they need to execute, more accountable to all of those little things that create friction in our business when communication isn't there, or things aren't getting done the right way, or systems aren't being followed. All of that kind of stuff, when we clean all of that stuff up and things are humming the way they need to hum, then dude, that minimum wage conversation isn't even an issue anymore. It's like oh my gosh, like we're so productive, we're so on point that it becomes way easier to find that money. It's not an expense anymore. It's a legitimate investment that has trackable ROI.
So so I'm gonna, as we're sitting here, I'm thinking, right? Okay, so and if we want to break it down, right, you've got the burger station, we'll call it, right? And then you've got salads, right? Well, the burger station is a way more high volume station. So the guy who's on there, or the person who's on there, is going to have probably a higher production rate, right? Hey, I put in 5 hours and it did, $1,000 in that 5 hours, right?
Sure.
Compared to the salad person who is only doing $300 at those same five hours. That doesn't mean that the salad employee is not as talented or as productive as that. So explain to me how, you kind of rational that for the listener who wants to break it down to see, who's productive in their establishments.
Well, absolutely, man. I mean, look, you're right. Some stations may be busier than others just by virtue of what's coming in, but that's when things like, taking initiative, cross-training, we can observe some of these things pretty openly to see, who's being productive and who's not. And we can be very, very clear with them on how it is that we're expecting them to perform and what is the outcome we're looking for. So for instance, when the salad station isn't busy and you don't have a lot of orders coming in, Is that person jumping over to help out this other station over here, maybe bagging up to goes?
That's more
We
of an eye
actually
test.
experienced that exactly that same scenario at Pesto. When we had kind of almost like a little production line. We had the pizza station behind us, and then we had the salad station and sandwiches, and then we had the to-goes over here, and then a chef burning on the grill, and it was like when any one section was like a little down, salads weren't getting cranked out, that salad person automatically goes over and they start bagging up stuff. They
Mhm.
start topping pizzas. They go
Yeah.
back and, maybe knock out a couple dishes or something to help the dish when the dish was on
Mhm.
a delivery because they were
Yeah.
also the delivery driver. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
so this is about getting team aligned with the mission so they're all running in the same direction. Otherwise, it's like chaotic and they
Yeah.
don't know what to do. So
Mhm.
it goes back to just being really, really intentional
Yeah.
about how we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I think a little bit definitely comes from the eye test, you know? Okay, so and so was sitting here, he had, $300 in salads over 5 hours, which again is not that much. What else was that person doing while they were here? And that's where the eye test comes in. Again, it's not all gonna be metrics, it's take the metrics and then also, you know, I would say solidify that answer through an eye test of monitoring shifts, And you could easily figure out if, hey, maybe Mondays and Tuesdays I don't need a salad person. I can
Yeah.
trim that down, and again, now you're trimming labor costs in a healthy way, where and now you can spread that money around maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you're doing it in a productive way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, dude. That's spot on. And look, there's so many moving parts to this, man. We all know that. Like everybody listening to this has probably got their own version of this, you know.
Hmm. And if you
But the
don't, this
point
is a great
is,
tool to use.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the point is that what I see a lot of times in the industry when something like this happens, things shift. We get tariffs, and now all of a sudden, this is taking,
Mhm.
everything's expensive to ship in, or maybe, I don't know, we're next to the Mexico border, and sometimes, we get like avocados coming up from Mexico. We have a problem, and now all of a sudden the avocados like
Avocados.
triple in price. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do? Like we're not strangers to having to pivot against these kinds of things in this
Yeah.
industry.
Mhm.
But I do see when major shifts like this happen, like with minimum wage going up, the tendency sometimes is to complain about it. It's to bitch and whine
Yep.
about it. And it's
Yep.
like, if that's you and you're sitting around complaining that, oh, everything's so expensive and blah, blah, blah. And hey, then good luck,
I think In and Out proves something to us because I know all his listeners are going to be like, oh, I sell fast food, I sell burgers and hot dogs and all that stuff, and I can't afford to pay someone 19, $20 an hour. Well, In and Out does, and you're going to tell me, well, In and Out's In and Out, right? Individual location does value. And it kinda goes back to what I was saying is if you pay them a little bit more, they give better experience, you give them more consistent quality product, you're gonna do the volume, you know?
Yeah. So that's a chicken and egg situation, right? So that's my
Right.
question back at you. Did they Are they doing the volume because they treat their people that way? Or can they just pay people what they pay them because they're doing the volume?
I think it originally, if you want my honest assumption, it was they started paying their people more, and it was a long game, right? And
Mhm.
now the brand does the volume. They can
Yep.
pop up in and out anywhere, and the volume's kind of built in, and they
Yep.
can but they had to start somewhere, right? So,
Truth.
again, it's an investment that you gotta make into your staff, and again, you're not gonna hire all rock stars. You're gonna need your role players, and you gotta develop your role players, right? You
Yeah.
look at any baseball team, basketball team, right? There's 1, 2 stars on the team, and the rest are role players that they've developed over time, you know? So, I wanna pivot now and ask you, so we kinda talked more about the hourly worker. How do we understand the productivity of more of a leadership role or a management role? Like how do we measure that one? Right? How do we make them from a task oriented person, I guess you could say, into a multiplier?
Oh, that's huge, man. And that's the thing. I mean, anybody on our leadership team, especially, should be less of a task taker and more of somebody
Mhm.
that's a driver, right?
Mhm.
Multiplier, a driver, someone who's actually driving results. And we would expect that from a leadership position, right?
Mhm.
But I think a lot of times what we find is that even in those leadership positions, people have that sort of task taking mindset. And for instance, sometimes what'll happen is they'll just jump in and start doing things for the team because it just needs to get done. But they're
Mhm.
not teaching the team how to be productive by doing that, right? They're
Yeah.
just teaching them that I'm going to come in and solve all the problems for them.
Yeah.
But that's
Yep.
that's not productive. And so now we're paying a high paid individual to go in and do specific tasks when really they should be driving by utilizing their team, helping them to step up and do more and learn more and be more so that they can focus on more high level activities, community engagement, outreach, B2B sales, all kinds of things that are driving business.
Yeah.
But if they're stuck down in that task taking mode, they're just, at some point, they're just a glorified
Yeah.
whatever, insert
Yeah.
position,
Right. Right. Yeah.
you
That
know?
is such a common term in our industry. I haven't heard that in a long time, but they're a glorified cook, a glorified cashier, glorified waiter, you waitress, you name it, right? Glorified
Yeah.
bartender. It doesn't matter. You like you said, you input the position and it's there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you a question now. When you have a glorified, you input it, and they're a task person, who are we blaming for that?
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, the
So you're
blame,
paying this person at a high level, but you didn't do the development or the training or the continued development to
yeah.
turn them into
I mean, we're
a
blaming
more.
them, man. We that's the thing. We're looking at them to solve the problem, but we haven't really solved the root of it, you know?
Yeah.
This is
Mhm.
why it's so funny when you're saying this because you know, as you know, like in my business, we spend a lot of time on, leadership development and all of this kind of stuff. We have a whole system for this. And it's like it's interesting to me how so many other businesses on the planet, really invest in whether it be time, money, energy into leadership development for their teams. And the restaurant industry does not tend to do that very, very much, right? Except for maybe in the store, boots on the ground. Maybe you have some ops directors that are really good at this and they're doing it internally, but I've found there's a real gap in that type of development because there's some great people out there, that are doing really great things. But there's also some people that were just a really good server that were promoted to manager and never given the tools on how to lead.
Mhm.
Completely different mindsets.
I'm gonna
And
I'm
then we
gonna I'm
wonder
gonna
why they're not doing their job.
I'm gonna ask you a crazy question because I don't I can count on one hand how many times I've literally seen this out of the hundreds of brands we've analyzed on our end. How many brands or restaurants in general have a training manual for above a manager, a role above a manager?
Yeah. Not
Ma-
not many. Not many. It's
As I said,
usually up
maybe
to
4 I've seen out of the hundreds.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually up to probably like if it's multi-units, like an operations or area director to facilitate that. It's usually up to and some of the bigger brands have this, like they've got
Yeah,
it locked, right?
yeah.
They've got a system for this.
But your 5 to 7 location guy does not have that.
No, no, it's by default. It's not by design, and that's an issue. That's a real issue because as we've decided here, and when we keep talking about over and over again, episode after episode, is some way, shape, or form this comes up. It all goes back. That's why we're the Ride or Die Restaurant Show, right? That we're here to help people understand that it always goes back to the people. Ultimately, all these systems, all this stuff we talk about, it's the people that are running them. And
Yeah.
we need to invest in that and not just financially. We need to invest our time, our energy, our vision, our heart,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you expect for most restaurants, I guess he is they don't they don't know how to read a P&L properly, right?
Yeah.
And they're just throwing a P&L like, "Alright." Like, and they don't know the first thing about it.
Yeah.
And eventually, a lot do kind of catch on to the basics of it. But again, or they don't know how to truly drive business. They were, again, like you said, they came from they were a waiter, waitress. They became a front of the house assistant manager. Then they rose up into a front of the house, GM, we'll call it, of a location.
Yeah.
But that came with maybe someone left and they got thrusted into that position. Or, again, they got thrust in that position without the proper training of what all of it means.
They got put in that position because they were really good at their role they were doing to begin with, but then the role they're put into is not it's not congruent. There needs to be training, there needs to be support around. That was me, man. My
Oh yeah.
first time I had a GM role, I was handed the keys to an $8 million property in a flagship store of a huge restaurant group. I didn't know how to read a P&L.
Yeah.
Nobody
And
even
that's what I'm
asked
saying.
me.
Training development. It doesn't exist for those top tier, or leadership roles.
Never had that. So yeah, so that's, look, if by the way, shameless plug, if you're listening to that, we do that shit all day long. So we can help you
Yeah.
with this,
Yeah.
you know?
If you want, you know, uh, Patrick Bet David said this. He was talking about one of his employees, and she was a little bit up. I don't think she was upset about, or something along the lines. He was upset with a group, maybe a group that they weren't thinking like C-suite individuals. Like, they were spending his money on stupid stuff, but they weren't thinking about what it really means down the road. And he goes,
Yeah,
until your leadership team starts thinking like C-suite individuals of like profit margins and, okay, does this really bring production? Does this bring us to that next level? Like an owner or a CEO does, because they have that care. They're never gonna, how are they gonna learn that stuff? They need to be taught that stuff.
that's exactly right, man. It's that doers to task takers, taking them to drivers, multipliers. It's trying to apply tactical solutions to strategic problems. You know,
Mhm.
these are all things that are there's a learning curve there. There's a point that people need to kind of get through and experience, and there's system and process to that. There's training that can happen there. And that's what they need. They need that. That's that, you know, and when they get it, oh man, dude, it's the results are phenomenal. It's incredible. Like it's like you have a different business.
Yeah,
And
if
it
if you
frees up the owner to
yeah.
be able to do so. I mean, go minimum wage will never be a problem for you ever again if you
Mhm.
have a strategy around the
Yeah,
people piece.
yeah,
That's the
if
bottom
you
line to this. I
here,
think that's
listen,
the overall message here.
yeah, I think that we all here, does money drive happiness? For some people it does, some people it doesn't. What a lot of people I see who have money will tell you is that it definitely helps with the stress.
Yes.
Having money, where financial, again, even if at least it alleviates a little bit, or hey, not being paid minimum wage. So when I come into work, I have a I have a better attitude. I'm a little bit, things are a little bit easier outside of those four walls, where I can come in and give a better experience to the people, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's the way you need to look at it, is if you're trusting this person with your business, like they are the front facing people of your business, and you got to trust them,
Yeah.
and where does that trust come
Absolutely.
with? They got to be happy, they got to be productive, they got to be, you know, they got to like where they're working at, for to a sense.
Yeah. Yep. I love it, dude. Dude, we could talk about this all day. I know we got to wrap this up, but you know what? There's so many different, trains to get on at this junction.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to be talking about this a lot more in future episodes, but
It's no, I think you nailed it though. It feels like every episode is coming back to your systems and the people within those systems.
yeah, absolutely.
and and
Absolutely.
and and changing your mindset towards what we think, what the industry tells us is normal, to what you really need to do to be successful here.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to one line for me. It's grow the people, grow the business.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah.
That's
And
what
I
it
think
is.
I think understanding your customer, I will say,
Yeah.
because I'm big on consumer behaviors and seeing what they're doing, because they're going to tell you what you need to do in your business.
Yep. Yep.
You know, like online ordering is huge. You know, it it's just what it is. If you're not going to get behind it, you got to have that mindset shift, and you have to have your people have that mindset shift to understand the importance of it. And again, it's
Well, And you just said it right there, man. And that's the perfect wrap right there, is that mindset shift. I think everything that we do with this show is really just trying to get people to think and shift their mindset, right or wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've all got opinions. We've all got our own experiences. But if this makes you think differently in some way, let's hear from you. Hit us up. Let us know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject or any topic that we're doing, really. What was the shift for you? We'd love to know.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind shift was buzzing the tower. I got hyped to get on this call though.
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. I got Top Gun quotes for days, man.
Dude, you nailed that. I did not see that coming. That was beautiful.
Let's do it, man. Let's go buzz the tower, and for next, we'll come back next time, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Goose or Maverick. You're Maverick today, man. You're on fire. I'll be Goose.
If my wife is asking, I'm Iceman. There it is.
Love it. I love it.
We're out.